Hello and welcome to another little Genshin Impact video. I just wanted to talk about the potentially upcoming character Hu Tao. We still don't know yet if she is going to be the next banner character, but it is definitely a possibility. So I wanted to talk about what items and materials you're going to need to farm for her before her release. So if she is the next banner character as potentially expected, then she will most likely be dropping next Tuesday, which is about a week from today. So you've got about 7 days counting today, that is. So we're just going to plan out exactly the most optimal way to get all the materials that you're going to need to get her to level 80. If you literally have nothing farmed up yet, then there's no way that you can get enough for her level 80 ascension, but you should be able to get enough to get her to level 80, assuming you have the XP books and more also required, because you won't have a whole lot of extra on that. But if you don't have enough of that saved up, then you should be able to still get enough of it within a couple days after she is released. So the first and foremost, the thing that you're going to need to farm up from bosses, which is going to be the main boss you're going to be farming, is the Primo Geovishap, is the Juvenile Jades. So these are your main boss ascension materials that you're going to need to get her to level 80. You're going to need 26 to get her to the final ascension. You'll need another 20, so 46 in total. You're also going to need these Pyro Crystal Ascension materials. You're going to need 1 of the green ones, 9 of the blues, and 9 of the purples. That is to get her to level 80. For the final ascension, you'll need 6 of the golds, which is where a lot of farming time would end up going to if you do decide to build her up to that point. Which, as a main DPS, I would suggest you do for her, at least at some point. You don't have to have all of this on day 1 necessarily, but we want to try and get as close as we can, because as soon as we pull that character, being able to immediately build them up and start using them in some form in a decent effectiveness is definitely a really good feeling. But after you have enough of the Juvenile Jades, I suggest coming over to the Pyro Regisvine to finish farming up any more of the Pyro Crystals that you'll need, as the Geovishap does not really drop much of the Pyro Crystals. I suggest resetting him every time that you come in that he is not the Pyro variant. You'll know if he's the Pyro variant if he's glowing an orangish reddish color. If he is not glowing that, I suggest resetting him and coming back and trying again to get that variant to make sure that you would get at least 1 or 2. You'll most likely only get 1 or 2 greens and maybe 1 blue, but it's very unlikely that you'll get much. So if you don't have a lot saved up, you are definitely going to have to do the Pyro Regisvine at least a few times to finish getting those that you'll need. As well, she's going to need Whopper Flower Nectar for her Ascensions and for her talent level ups. The best places that I suggest for farming Whopper Flowers, there's 2 right here that you can farm. There's another 2 just outside of the Pyro Regisvine. There's 1 between these 2 areas, like in the middle of this. I think I have my mouse visibility off, so I can't exactly point to it, or I can put it, there we go, I can just say it's about right here. There is also 1 right here. There's a Whopper Flower alongside an Abyss Mage as well. There's also 1 just northwest of this marker here, this teleport waypoint just down the cliff. There's also a few slimes down there if you need some of that for something else. There's also a Whopper Flower right here to the northwest, so you go to the teleport point and go northeast slightly, just down a slight hill, and it's right there. There's also 1 just outside of the Pyro Regisvine to, I believe, the northeast, and there's a couple more here and there that you can just go into your F1, search elite enemies, and find any that I have not mentioned. I know there's 1 in the Storm Terror's lair that I think is somewhere around this area, like down in the little Valley Gorge area, but yeah. So now that we know what we're going to be looking for. Oh, I almost forgot about the Silk Flowers is the other Ascension material she needs. She needs 108 of those if you want to get her to level 80. If you want to get that final Ascension, you'll need another 60, so that makes 168 in total. You can farm 28 Silk Flowers every respawn period, and they respawn every 2 to 3 days. I'm not exactly certain If it is 2 days or 3 days, or if it's a guaranteed 3 days with a chance of respawning in 1 or 2 days or something like that, I haven't done the testing to double check on that. But I know that I normally farm the local specialty resources every 3 or 4 days or so, so they're always respawn for me, but I know they don't respawn in 1 day. At least most of them don't, I believe. But I think I've seen some that have respawned in 2 days, so I'm not 100% certain. But just expect them to respawn every 3 days, roughly. So you'll get about 6 of them from the path in front of Wangshu Inn. There's 6 plants, that is, and each of those plants have 2 silk flowers on them, and the rest of them are just in the upper terrace area with a little garden-like stuff in Liyue. In that area, so it's just northeast of this teleport waypoint that I am hovering right now, so it's like this area in here. There's some, if you just go around the edges of the building and terrace area, and that should be the rest of them, and you should be able to collect 28 in total on each respawn period. So over the course of a week, you should get about 2/3 of what you need to level her up, but I imagine you should have at least some collected. You had to walk by Wangshu Inn just to get into Liyue before, so I'm sure you would have walked over that. You've definitely had to walk up into this area multiple times before for quests and things like that, story quests and whatnot, so I imagine you've probably collected at least some. So if you haven't used any of them, you honestly might already have enough. Otherwise, that's what you should be, where you should be going to collect those before she comes out. So now let's actually take a look at how we're going to be planning out our farming for this next week. So first, real quick, before we get into that, I wanted to show off a couple quick little resources here, because these are really nice resources to have. First up is the Map Genie Genshin Impact Interactive Map. Just search Genshin Impact Interactive Map on Google and it'll come up, and it just shows you pretty much everything in the game that you might want to search for, but most notably for our purposes right now, you can show different materials that you want to find, which is super nice. And I just did that, and now I'm gonna have to reset my map later, but it's just a super handy resource to have when you're trying to farm stuff and want to see where things are, so that you can plan out a path and know where you need to go to find everything. As well is this little Sealy.in-Magi, which is a fantastic database resource to just compile all of the characters that you have, keep track of what levels they are, what materials you need to get them to your desired levels and talent ranks and whatnot. So for Hu Tao, we're going to pull her up, and we're going to see that in total, this is to get her to level 80 unascended. You can change this if you want to 80 ascended, and you can see the materials changed a little bit to show what you'll need for that final ascension. But we're going to just look here, and we're going to see this is where I got you need 247 EXP books, 1.3 million Mora, plus if you want to get everything to Ascension level 6, you'll need another 368, so that's 1.67-ish million Mora in total to get her to level 80 with level 6 talents, and you'll also need 9 green books and 63 blue books. And you'll need, again, the Whopper Flower Nectar, and you'll need Whopper Flower Nectar on her Ascensions, 1 green Pyro Crystal, 9 of the blue ones, 9 of the purple ones, 26 Juvenile Jades, and 108 Silk Flowers. So now let's actually get into exactly what we're going to be doing on each individual day to reach these desired materials. So first and foremost, make sure that you're farming the Whopper Flowers every day until you have what you need for her, as well the Silk Flowers. Make sure to keep checking back for those every day or two, so that to catch them on their respawn, so that you get the 108 you need. If we're going to just get to level 80 without the final ascension, which is what we're going to be focusing on, here's what you would need in total to get the ascension, translating the value of the pyro crystals right here into greens so that it's a universal way of measuring it. And we did that as well here, but you'll need 271 and 46, 271 Pyro Crystals, 46 Juvenile Jades to get that final ascension. But just to get her to level 80, again, 26 Juvenile Jades, you at world level 6, you're going to average 2.37 per boss run. So you're most likely going to need roughly 11 boss runs of the Primo Geovishap to get what you need here. And you'll need 109 greens worth of the Pyro Crystals, which is, again, going to be divided into 1 green, 9 purples, or 9 purples and 9 blues. Getting about a value of 8 green crystals per boss run of the Pyro Regisvine is going to give you needing about 14 runs. But you're probably going to get at least a few from the Primo Geovishap, so we can knock down 1 or 2 necessary runs. Most likely 1 run, maybe 1.5, but take us down to, say, 12 to 13 runs that we would need to do in total for that. So in total, that means you're going to need, we'll say 12 runs and 11 runs. That's 23 runs. 23 times 40 is going to be a lot of resin needed. Let me do a quick bit of math. 23 times 40 is going to be 920 resin in total that you're going to be needing to get the Ascension materials. And then to get the talent level up materials, you're going to need 190 greens of the books in total. You need diligent books, which you can farm on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So we're going to be putting that into our planner here. And that means that you're getting about 11 per run, which means you're going to need to do about 18 runs to get the total value of books that you would need to ascend all of her talents up to level 6 each. But you can cut it a little bit short if you can't manage to get this. That's fine, but a lot of your abilities on a character, a lot of your scaling really does come from leveling up your talents more than it does even leveling up your just your character's levels. So keep that in mind. This should be a priority for you. So on Wednesday today, the first day, we're going to be wanting to turn 120 of our resin into 3 condensed resin so that we can save that condensed resin to dump as much as possible on Friday when the talent material domain has the diligence books that we need. The rest of that resin should give you 1 more boss run with 20 resin left over. And so that then on Thursday, you can spend all of your resin plus that 20 extra. That gives you 200 resin in total for the day on 5 boss runs. So that's 5 of our boss runs already done, or well, 6 actually, because we did 1 on Wednesday. So that's 6 down. We're looking at needing 17 more boss runs to do. So on Friday, we need 18 total runs on domains. So with the 3 condensed resin plus the 180 resin that we already have, those 18 runs are considered 20 resin each. Each condensed resin is going to be 40 resin worth, so you're going to get 2 runs out of each of those, which is 6 times plus 180 resin, which is another, which is going to be 9 more runs that you're going to be able to do, which means in total you've done 15 runs on Friday, so you're looking at needing 3 more. On Saturday, we're going to do boss runs once again, and that is going to be 160 resin, gives you 4 runs of it, which means now we're looking at needing another 13, and we've got 20 resin left over going into Sunday. Sunday is going to be a little variable depending on if you've done your weekly bosses already. If you have not done your weekly bosses, that is where your resin needs to go. Weekly bosses give a lot of value, and you need to do those. So we're going to go under the assumption that you have not done your weekly bosses, and we're going to allot that resin there just to make sure that we have everything that you need to be doing regularly covered. So Sunday is completely out of the equation here. So now we're coming into Monday. We still have 20 resin left over from Saturday, so we're carrying that over here as well. So you've got 200 resin in total to make a total of 5 runs on the boss, and that means now we're looking at needing 8 more runs on that, and we're needing 3 more runs on the domains. So if we take that into account coming into Tuesday, we need to do 3 domain runs on Tuesday for 60 resin, which is going to leave us with 120 resin left, which is 3 boss runs. You're 5 away from being able to finish up everything that you need when Hu Tao comes out, and that is on the Tuesday that she's expected to come out at. That means that you are exactly 200 resin away, which is roughly 1 day. Alternatively, if you do have and want to use a few of your fragile resins, or even the 50 Primogem refresh for to get resin back, you can do that and have everything that you need on Tuesday, but I would not really suggest that. At least I wouldn't suggest using the Primogems for it. It's just not worthwhile. And the fragile resin you can use if you want. I probably would if it was me, because I just want to have her where I want on the day that she gets released, but otherwise it's not necessary, so to say. But that just shows that if you have already done your weekly bosses, then you can get all of this farming done on Sunday, and bam, there you go. 1 week, and you've got everything you need to get Hu Tao up to level 80, not worrying about the XP books and Mora specifically, which are farmable outside of resin usage to a degree. But it's going to give the best value if you're going and spending resin to do that. As well, like I said before, I expect most people should have at least some of these already, which should make up for that 200 resin in value that you don't have, probably with a little bit of leftover as well, which can be used to farm up the XP and Mora books that you might still be lacking. Again, you need 1.7 or so million Mora to get her to level 80 with level 6 talents, and you need 247 XP books for it as well. So hopefully this was a bit helpful. Hopefully my long-winded explanation made some sense to you, and you managed to put together an idea of what you need to be doing before Hu Tao potentially comes out next Tuesday, with your last week left before that banner has a chance of cycling in, so that you're ready to go when she gets released if you do manage to pull her. Thanks so much for watching the video all the way through. I hope this was helpful, and good luck to everybody who is planning to roll on Hu Tao, and have a great rest of your day.